Hi, George here, and today I want to talk about how to use live filters here inside of Affinity Photo. Now I'm showing this in Affinity Photo 2.6, but the exact same techniques work over in Affinity by Canva. You find live filters right over here, and this little icon looks like an hourglass right there. Same icon in Affinity by Canva. And let me just show you something about working with filters. First off, whenever I work on a project, I always like to make a duplicate of the background. I'll right-click where it says background, and just do a duplicate. And then I hide the original. That's just a safety, just in case something goes wrong. Live filters, of course, are here to help you so that things don't go wrong. But just in case, I always like working on a duplicate. That way, if anything does get messed up, I can always come back to the original and start again by making another copy of that original layer. So it's just a good habit to be in. Now in this video, I'll be talking about just one aspect. But if you want to learn everything else here in the program, all of your tools, left-hand side, all your panels, right-hand side, everything on the menus, everything about how to use this program, I have a great video course on how this whole thing works, and I'll put a link for that at the top of the description. Go ahead and check that out. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the live filters. We have two places to find filters here inside of Affinity Photo. One is the filters menu, and quite a few things here: blur, sharpen, distort, noise, detect, a lot of stuff in here. These are the most drastic of the filters. Let's just do a basic perspective shift in here. I'll do single plane. And let's show our grid in here. If you pull the grid, you can actually distort your image. In this case, it gives it kind of a perspective effect like that. Choose apply. Now notice when I did this, I'm now stuck with that distortion in here. I can't come back and change that. Now if I don't go too far on this one, I can back up with the undo. And that's Control Z, just back out of it that way. But if I did this and I went on and did a whole bunch of other adjustments in here, I couldn't easily go back and get rid of that one adjustment without losing a lot of other work. So using the filters up here are dangerous because once you have them in place, it's very hard to get out of that. It's very hard to fix any errors or mistakes on that. And of course, that's one of the reasons why I like having a duplicated background. Now, live filters are exactly the opposite of that. Let's go down here to the live filter. Here's all the filters. We'll come down to the perspective filter, same one. Notice it works exactly the same. I'll show the grid again, just like that. And let's now do that same motion here, same maneuver. There we go, perspective. And notice how this is coming on its own layer up here. It's not locked into that layer. It's on its own layer. And we don't have an apply button down here. So if I just close that out, there's my distortion. And I can show or hide that just by clicking on show or hide that particular layer. So the effect is actually on its own layer, and that gives you a lot more control. I can simply delete this layer and get rid of that effect. And that's the huge benefit in here of these live filters. I can also double click on the icon and bring the adjustment back up again. Let's reshow the grid, and I can readjust this. So that's something else that you can't do with a regular filter. You can't come back and readjust your filter. In here you can. You can come back in and actually rework this filter again if you want to. Now it can merge this. If I do a merge, it then brings it onto that one layer and it becomes just like any regular filter. In this case, I'll do the Control Z and back out of that merge. There we go. Something else that you can do here is kind of interesting. You can right click on this and do a mask to below. There we go. And the filter is now attached to this layer, just like it would with a layer mask. It's still separate though. I still can show or hide that particular filter just by showing or hiding this particular mask filter. It also makes sure that the filter you're attaching here only works on just that one layer and not everything underneath of that layer, which the other effect would do. Let me show you that. I'm going to back up a couple of steps here. Control Z, get this back up on top. I'm going to hide this layer now. And notice how the perspective layer here, this perspective filter, is working on the background layer down here as well. So when you have the filter like this on its own layer, your live filter is going to be affecting everything underneath of it, which can be very useful sometimes and not useful other times. It depends upon your project. If you want this to only work on that one layer, then you just do what I just showed you. Right click on this and mask to below. And here you can see now this filter is only being applied to this layer and it's not being applied to the layer in behind. I'll hide that background layer. There we go. Now, there are a lot of these filters available that you can use as live filters. And as you can see here, this gives you a lot of freedom and control. It also protects that layer. It's not going to be touched. So it's still original. I haven't damaged that layer. I'm only applying the filter live. Now, if you click on the live filter again, let's just take a fast look through here, see what we have. We have all of our blurs up in here, the whole range of blurs. We have our two sharpening filters right down here and the high pass filter, which can be used for sharpening. We have these distortion filters through here, have our noise filters right down through here. And then a bit further, we have some of these here, halftone, vignette, defringe, and some lighting and shadow highlights filters right down here. So almost the whole filter set is included here in these live filters. Another fun trick you can do with these live filters is to stack several filters together. Let me just show you this real fast here. Let's grab this halftone right there. And this brings in a new halftone filter layer right there. I'll bring the cell size down so you can actually see the image. There we go. That's kind of good. You can adjust your contrast in here. So lots of options on this one. You have color. There's the color. And circular. So again, lots of fun options in here. Notice how this filter is working with the other filter. So we have two filters being applied at the same time. Now this filter is coming in here on top. And that means that this is being applied to both of these layers. Let me show you that. So there we go. So the halftone is being applied to both layers. If I wanted to have this one only applied to this one layer, same trick. Right click where the name is and mask to below. And now these two live filters are stacked onto just this one layer, and the layer in behind is not being affected by those filters. So lots of possibilities in here with these live filters. And as you can see, let's just hide this background. Here we go. So I can hide them or show them just like that. I can even use individual ones. Here's the halftone without the perspective. Here's a perspective without the halftone. So you have complete control over how and when your filters are being applied. And if you double click on the thumbnail, it brings back up the controls for that particular filter. So very powerful and also non-destructive on your original image. And again, if you want to learn how the whole Affinity Photo program runs, I have a complete training course for that. It's a video training course. Covers all the tools, all the menus, all the panels, everything. And I'll put a link for that at the top of the description. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Also, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any videos in the future. And I'll see you next time.